What's Buzzin' Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Degnan, and along with me, Michael Fraley. So we're back to movies today. Since sports are coming back up, we'll do a little more. NBA comes back on Thursday. Have you been watching any of the scrimmages, Mike?
I've watched a couple. I watched like the beginning of a couple. Like I was watching the Lakers Magic one today.
Yeah, I watched that too.
Yeah, they don't play the stars a lot, so they're kind of like they're just kind of submid.
Yeah.
Like it's something to watch. I watched a bit of baseball yesterday too.
Yeah. Want to know?
Yeah. I can't even lie though. Like I like baseball, but I watched like 5 innings of a game. I was just bored.
Yeah.
I was just bored.
Well, you're not alone.
Yeah.
But after seeing some Instagram comments earlier this week on one of our posts, we knew that there was a pressing issue that needed to be addressed in the movie world, and that is our definitive, top 11 Star Wars movies. Since there's only 11, but
Yes.
Mike and I will differ on. I know we'll differ on a couple movies, but overall, there's a general list that people should follow when it comes to these movies. And when we saw like Attack the Clones at number 2,
not gonna name names.
No names will be named, but I think it just needs to be addressed. So we're gonna go through this similar to as how we did the last episode with our top 10 players. We'll switch off back and forth. So Mike, why don't we get into it? Let's hear your worst Star Wars movie.
All right. So the very worst Star Wars movie, I think, and you can. I think there's like 2 or 3 you can debate for this, but it really doesn't matter because they're all shit at the end of the day. But my very worst movie is The Phantom Menace, starting up at number 11 here.
Okay.
This is just like, to be honest, I watched this movie when I was in like 7th grade. I haven't watched it since. I don't remember too much about it. Like I thought Qui-Gon was kind of a cool character, Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
I thought they could have done more with him. Darth Maul was cool too. I like Darth Maul.
He was by far the best part of this movie.
Yeah. The lightsaber battle between Darth Maul, Qui-Gon, and Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Probably like the only good part of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking Jar Jar, like what is the goal there?
He's actually growing on me. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like after he became like a meme and like kind of a joke, I thought he's not as bad. Like I didn't have this movie at 11, and like a couple years ago, it definitely would have been 11. But I rewatched it a couple weeks ago, and it's not nearly. It's pretty bad. But after seeing like what I saw recently, like there's no way I could put it 11. The stuff with like the midichlorians and like the Force coming, like being a scientific thing rather than its own like spiritual thing was so stupid, and I was pretty mad while watching that.
Yeah, they just didn't need to do that.
Yeah. Also, like the Trade Federation stuff was like pretty lame, like and kind of a snooze fest. But like Darth Maul was the best thing.
Darth Maul is awesome. I love Darth Maul. And
also like just the Duel of the Fates music at the end, like kind of made like I don't know, like kind of like I was like smiling like while watching that, so it kind of like wiped away like the last bit.
One thing I would recommend though, like so there's a YouTube video of George Lucas's initial reaction to watching this.
Mm-hmm.
And he just like, it's the funniest thing ever. Like the movie ends, he just like stares at the screen for like 10 seconds. He's just like, what the fuck?
Oh,
what the hell just happened?
Oh, he thought it was terrible?
Yeah.
Didn't
he was just like, he's like disappointed with it.
Was he involved in making the movie? Or was he not?
I don't know. I think he was involved in the prequels, to be honest. But it's a funny video because he's like really disappointed with the final product.
Yeah.
But yeah, not too much else to say about the Phantom Menace.
So I didn't even think that was the worst prequel movie, to be honest.
Yeah, that's fair.
I thought Attack the Clones was the worst, but I don't even have that at 11. I have The Rise of Skywalker at 11. And
that's a fair point. I like that.
This movie just overall was just such dog shit. I hated it so much. I watched it, I think, twice in theaters. First off, it was just okay. Let's get into this. So
Just a sigh. Just a sigh.
The
That's
dialogue.
all you need to know about it. That's all you need to know about
The
it.
dialogue is so bad in this movie. It's so bad. Like the first half hour, like, okay, I know they had to work around Carrie Fisher's untimely passing, like rest in peace, Carrie. But just the dialogue between Rey and like all these other characters was just so terrible. Also, the opening crawl was by far the worst opening crawl I've ever seen in a movie. Like it just starts off, Emperor Palpatine is back. No explanation. We have no clue how he came back. He's just magical force thing.
I love how they like explained it in the press conferences before the movies too. He's like, Sith have like these unexplainable abilities.
Yeah, fuck out of here. No thanks. No thanks. I think just the dialogue was terrible. It was just so much exposition. Also, like the plot revolving around these Jedi holocrons, just such a snooze fest. Also, like the first thing with just like Kylo rampaging through and like killing all these like rebels in a montage, it just felt so lazy. Like I want to see that like actually happen. Like, The Last Jedi sucks, but it had some cool moments. There were no cool moments.
It definitely did
in this movie.
Yeah,
at all.
The thing too about this, there's these two random ass like devices they use to find the Emperor. Just like no explanation.
The Jedi knife.
Yeah, just like thrown in there for just some plot device. Like that's how you know it's a shit movie when you don't even know what these random fucking things are.
Also, like this is more of like a gripe on the sequels, but like the locations for the sequels, are just terrible. Like at least the prequels had like Camino and Geonosis and Naboo, like somewhat quotable. Like I don't think I can name one, like of the last two.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe Crate from The Last Jedi, but like other than that, like there was no like good set pieces. Rey, like, okay, the performances in this movie and the sequels overall were great. Like the actors did nothing wrong. Like
Adam Driver as Kylo Ren. He's the best part of these movies. He's great. Yeah. I think he's great.
Who's the best part of these movies?
Kylo Ren, Adam Driver. He does also a great job.
Rey's like Daisy Ridley's like great, became a star because of these movies. Same with like John Boyega and Oscar Isaac. Like they're all fantastic. It's just their characters are just poorly written in the last two movies. They just are. And like
horrible writing.
For like they tried to make the trio of Rose, Poe, and Finn like Luke, Leia, and Han. But the thing is, like, they were kind of separated during The Force Awakens. And I was like really excited for The Last Jedi to bring them all together. And then they stayed even more separated. Like they separated them even further. Like they put all three of them on separate parts of the galaxy. So you never got any of this like bonding to happen like they did in, Empire at least. And so when like they start like fighting in like The Rise of Skywalker, it just feels like they hate each other. It just doesn't work at all. So I don't know. That really frustrated me. Also, a couple more things and we'll move on. Hux in this movie just gets totally belittled. And it happened last movie as well, but like Hux in like The Force Awakens, and I'll get into this when I really put that movie on my list. He was like kind of intimidating. Like Hux, remember him? Like the general? And
yeah.
Like in the last movie, they have Snoke like slap him around, and then Kylo does it as well, and now he becomes like a spy, and then just randomly gets shot. Like it just feels like it's all for laughs. It's so cheap. It's just so stupid.
It's terrible.
And then
they went into it with no plan. Well, no character arcs, no real plan for the 3-movie structure. And like that's what you get. You get these just shitty endings to everyone's character.
Yeah. Also, they could have killed Chewie and 3PO, but they all just said psych, like literally halfway through the movie, and like fake killed them just for like emotional value or emotional weight, and like it just didn't work. And also the ending. Oh my god, the ending. It was just like the kiss. Are you serious?
Oh my god.
That was so forced.
Oh my god, I forgot about that shit.
The kiss was terrible. Also, like Rey getting up to like all these like old Jedi saying like rise, rise, rise. Like that was so cringy. It just didn't work. It was so cringy. Like they went for it and it just totally fell on its face. And I think it's by far the worst Star Wars movie.
And then she steals the Skywalker name at the end too.
Oh, I know. I forgot about that.
It's like, no, you're not a Skywalker. You're just not.
Lando was in this movie? Remember when Lando was in this movie?
Oh,
and
yeah.
I forgot about that. Like,
yeah.
Lando, like, one of the best characters from the original trilogy was in this movie, and nobody remembers that.
Dude, yeah. I won't say much for this. I had Rise of Skywalker at 10. It's not much better than the Phantom Menace. Yeah, we'll just go to your number 10 since we already just tore this movie apart.
You know, okay, I originally had the Last Jedi here, but I'm gonna move it up a little bit. I'm gonna put Solo here. Like, Solo, it's just like meh. Like, I saw it once. Like Alden Ehrenreich, I think that's how you say his name, is like a good Han Solo. And like it's like kind of cool to see like Han and Chewie in action, but I don't know. Like I feel like this was a story that didn't need to be told, unlike Rogue One.
It didn't at all.
Like also they tried too hard to make Han the good guy. If you kind of notice that, like they always like put Han on the right side of like the moral issues in the movie, whereas like Han in The New Hope was like kind of a scoundrel, or he was a scoundrel, and like you didn't know if he was going to be good. Or like where his allegiances were by the end of The New Hope. So it just didn't, I don't know. I thought it was fine.
It's just like, dude, yeah. I think Han was I'd say he's probably my favorite character from the original trilogy. And one of the things I loved about him is just like, there's no backstory to him really, but that's good. It's like, he's more this mysterious scoundrel, thief, whatever. And I think that adds to his character a bit. It's just like, it's a clear cash grab too. So
yeah. Also, like having Han, like seeing Han with another love interest, like was kind of weird. I don't know. I wasn't really a fan of that, but
yeah.
Also having Han like get his last name Solo because he like is alone. At like, or is like he gets separated from his girl. Like he's like, what's your last name? He's like Han, and like looks around, nobody's with him. So like that felt so that was so terrible. That was it was just such a stupid. I don't know. I feel like they tried way too hard with this movie, and it just didn't work. I don't remember any of the characters other than Han and Chewie.
Yeah. I mean, you hit the nail on the head again. I had Solo at number 9. Yeah. It's just like, I won't even say like, it's weird because I don't think it's bad.
No, it's not
bad. But it's still like pretty low in my rankings.
Yeah, that's the thing though. Like, if you're gonna like go for it, like, it didn't really go for anything. It was just like it's kind of a meh movie, and the fact that it was meh, like The Last Jedi, like. I thought that movie, it was really bold and it made some terrible choices, but at least it was bold. So like, I'm kind of rewarding that now by moving it up on my list because at least it went for something, you know, and it may have totally fell on its face, but Solo didn't really go for anything. It was just like, we'll just leave this there. So I don't know. I think it definitely deserves to be bottom of the list.
So that was your number 10.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I had Solo at 9, just for all the reasons we just mentioned. Nothing special, just kind of there.
I guess I'll put Attack of the Clones here. I thought Attack of the Clones was worse than Phantom Menace. I mean, I get how they're like disputed, but this movie, first off, should be nowhere near the top 4. Like, definitely near the bottom.
Should be nowhere in the top, like, 2/3.
Yeah, it's just
Star Wars movies.
It's just, again, it's like pretty boring as well. Like the stuff with Anakin and Obi-Wan, like what's Anakin's actor's name? It's like
Hayden Christensen.
Like he was better in Revenge of the Sith
than in Revenge of the Sith. Yeah.
But in this movie, he was just not very good at all. And mostly because like all of his lines, like first off, the dialogue sucks. That's mostly just an issue with the prequels. Like,
yeah,
it's just not like quippy at all. It feels like super forced, really exposition heavy, and like the stuff with Anakin and like Padme is so bad. It's just a terrible. It's so like really
so
hard to
bad.
watch. Like those two like fall in love with each other. It's like not. It's like Natalie Portman's a good actress, you know. So it's either totally Hayden Christensen's fault or just the dialogue's fault, or
I
a
think
combination of
I
both.
think it's a combination of all that.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, dude, I really remember like 2 or 3 scenes from this movie.
Yeah.
Quite honestly.
You know, to be fair, the stuff with Obi-Wan and like going to Camino and like seeing all the clones um, is pretty interesting. Like, and it also did a lot for like the Clone Wars. So I think like that's, I think that's one of the best parts of this movie. Also, like Jango Fett's kind of interesting. I mean, we see more of Jango than we do of Boba. To be fair,
How does he die again? Doesn't he get decapitated?
yeah, Mace decapitates him.
Yeah.
And I think this movie kind of expands on like the Jedi Order, I guess, and like all those like Kit Fisto and Plo Koon and all those like Jedi that aren't really named, and like expands on like Yoda and Mace Windu. So I think that's like positive. But this movie's really boring. Like the final battle is like pretty bad with like CGI Yoda just flying all over the place.
God, dude. Yeah.
I mean, that's like, it's pretty cool, like first time watching it, but then it's just like, it goes on for a while and it's like nowhere near like as good as like the Yoda battle in Revenge of the Sith.
Oh yeah, it's not, dude. Yeah. So yeah, I had this movie at number 8 for me. So kind of like we said, like I mean, again, kind of like Solo. I didn't think it was like the worst I'd ever seen. I thought it was boring. It's just there. It's like I think I love Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan in these sequels. And that's probably why I'm ranking this as high as I am, just because of him. Like, I think he does a great job. I think Obi-Wan is super likable.
Yeah.
I think definitely the best part of these prequels. There's one, I'm forgetting what it is specifically, but like the one big battle they have in like the arena.
Yeah. I'm forgetting.
That's a cool scene. I kind of like that.
Yeah. On Geonosis.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, not much going for it. Kind of like the other 3 I've mentioned. So that's my number 8 spot.
Yeah. I think this is a good spot for it. Okay, I guess I'll put The Last Jedi here. I don't know, I'm kind of winging this as we go because I originally had The Last Jedi much lower, but the more I think about it, at least there's some like the thing with The Last Jedi, it has some like great moments. Honestly, some of the best moments in the series, and mostly because like I don't know, I thought it definitely had some of the best moments in the series. But there's just so much. This is probably like my least favorite movie, but it's like a better movie than like Attack the Clones or Solo. So I gotta put it higher up, So let's first get into like the good stuff about this movie. Like the set pieces are great in The Last Jedi. Like the throne room fight with Rey and
nice.
Kylo.
That's a cool ass scene.
Yeah, and like the action is like he knows how to direct action, Rian Johnson, and like some of the shots in this movie are so cool. Like he does it like cinematography wise, like I have no complaints about this movie, but it just plot wise, this movie fell so flat. Yeah. Let's talk about like the central thing that this movie revolved around: fuel. Like the movie revolves around the Jedi or the Rebel cruiser or the Resistance cruiser not being able to get out of the what's the Empire's like the future Empire in the sequels, the First Order cruiser, like the Resistance cruiser was not able to get out of the range of the Resistance cruiser because they were low on fuel. You know how stupid that sounds? Like considering like all the other stuff that's happened in Star Wars, it's just a lazy plot device, and that's like my main criticism with the like the sequels. It's just like lazy writing because they want to get from like they want to get to point B so bad. And so like the stuff between point A and point B is just terrible. It's just lazy and forced.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Like fucking fuel. Really?
It's so stupid.
Yeah, that was so stupid. That was pretty stupid.
The Finn and Rose side arc was
Oh
the worst
God.
thing I've ever seen in Star Wars.
What is the point of it? What is the point of it?
It was a social commentary on animal cruelty and how elites are bad.
Yeah.
And also for some reason the movie ended with like a young Jedi or a young force sensitive person that it's never going to be touched on ever again. So I don't know what the point was. Like there was no plan, Mike, like you said. Like JJ got the sequels off onto a great start. Ryan went his own way, and then JJ had to like retcon some things, and it was just a mess. It was such a mess.
And well, one of the things I will commend this movie for, which is kind of like you said, like it tries to dive into some things that we hadn't really seen before.
Yeah.
Like kind of go more into the Jedi mythology, I think.
Yeah.
It's like cool. Like I commend him for trying that. But it's just like it's clear that it's like half of this movie is just doesn't need to be there.
Yeah.
Which is
the movie used like the Force in some cool ways. Like the Force projection that Luke used was pretty cool. Like that scene where Luke like fights Kylo or like dodges all Kylo stuff at the end and then says "See you around, kid" is like one of the cool scenes in the series.
That's cool.
Like I love that so much. And
I wonder though, one thing I wonder, and this is like kind of a mythology question, like how much can Force Ghosts do? That's what I remember thinking.
Apparently Force Ghosts can now like catch lightsabers according to the Rise of Skywalker. Which is so stupid. Like, oh my God.
Like, then there's no death then, I guess. Death is not a thing.
They're just so poorly. Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
So Captain Phasma was literally Boba Fett 2.0. And it's like they wanted to do that after like everything with Boba Fett was like, he died way too early. Nobody liked that. Why did he die so early? And now they did the same thing with a cool clone trooper. And now Captain Phasma just like dies.
I don't even remember anything about Captain Phasma, honestly.
Well, she was like cool in theory. Like her voice was cool. Like she was kind of badass from what we saw. And then
it was just clearly reskinned Boba Fett, though.
Yeah, but like I don't know why you do that again. Like,
yeah,
just to give Finn something to do.
It's just so there's a female Boba Fett. Honestly.
Okay, but then don't kill her off. Like,
yeah,
something cool. Okay, and then the stuff with Poe and Captain Holdo or Admiral Holdo was just so. That was just ridiculous. Like, why do you not tell him the plan? Telling him the plan was just like, what harm is Poe gonna do? Like Poe's like, I know Poe was like a little reckless, but he's not like ridiculously. It just seemed like lazy writing, and it also just created like tension that I didn't really care about at all.
Yeah. Well, another thing too, though, and the biggest problem I have with these sequels is that Rey, the main character, has no flaws, has no issues, never has moments of weakness, really.
Yeah.
Again, takes away from not only the tension, but it takes away from like the character herself being like a great character. Like Luke in the originals, he's perfect.
Luke was annoying.
Yeah. He has so many problems.
And then he became
in the end.
That's why he was satisfying.
Yeah. Because you see his arc. You see him having problems. You see him developing as a person. It's like, it's a great character arc. Rey has none of that right from the beginning. She's got no problems. She can fucking fight anybody she wants.
The most character she has is in The Force Awakens. So,
which is a great movie.
Yeah. So we'll get into that. Okay, a couple more things that are just stupid. Holdo, even though her sacrifice was like really cool and like one of the coolest scenes in the movie and in the series, where she like goes through like goes hyperspeed into the cruiser.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That was sick.
That was cool. Yeah.
But the thing that really irritated me was Luke in this movie. So you're telling me, okay, first off, right as Luke gets like his Rey hands him the lightsaber, and I think of this as a metaphor for like Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams, because like J.J. is like Rey, and then Rian Johnson is Luke, and so when like Rey hands Luke the baton, I guess, or like the lightsaber, like Ryan slash
yeah.
Luke just completely throw it over their head. And it's just like a metaphor, like how he treated this movie. He's like, you know what? You had all this plan in this direction. I'm just going to do my own thing.
I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to explore what I want to explore.
Also, Luke would never do that. Like Luke, if Luke saw his lightsaber that he hasn't seen in 40 years, do you think he would just throw it over him? I don't care if he doesn't trust the Jedi Order anymore. It just doesn't make sense. That's not Luke Skywalker. Also, Luke Skywalker would not draw a lightsaber on an unarmed on his nephew who's unarmed, even if he saw like a flash of like the dark side. Like Luke Skywalker would not do that. You know what I mean? Like he like really
he wouldn't. Yeah, you bring up a great point though. Like they also ruin, except for I like how Han was handled in The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
But they kind of ruined Luke in this movie.
Yeah, like Luke's
just another problem I have with it.
I mean, even though it's like redemption, I guess, he should have never been redeemed. But his like ending was really cool.
Yeah.
Also, he shouldn't have died in this movie. Like there's no reason for him to die.
I know.
But it's also Leia like getting like, you know what would have been cool? If Kylo killed Leia. Just saying, like if he exploded her or like he shot down his or shot down her ship and like she died, like that would have been interesting, you know. But the thing, like her like using her force powers to propel her back from mid-space into the like, it's just
dude, that's such a dumb scene. She's like,
so bad.
Like fucking Superman in space back to the ship.
I know this movie like has some great moments, but it has some just terrible things going for it. And it was just also Snoke's death. Snoke. Okay, Snoke in The Force Awakens is creepy and is scary. He's scary. Yeah. And you know, they kind of set him up to be the next Palpatine or whatever. And who knows? I think JJ had some really cool things planned for him. But
nope. He's cut in half.
He's cut in half. Also, how could he not tell that Kylo was turning the lightsaber on him? Like he's the most powerful force being in the universe at this point.
And there's like some lightsaber like right
next to him. You're telling me
right next to him. He can't tell.
Judgment is that much clouded, so he can't even see that. Like, get out of here. That's terrible.
That is bullshit. So, all right, I think we should move on. This movie, a lot of problems. I put it at number 7. I still respect it. What?
You put The Last Jedi at 7?
Yeah, The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
I still respect it for doing some good things. Great cinematography too. It's not dog shit at the end of the day. It's just disappointing, I think.
Well, I think it's like it's the worst. Okay, it's not the worst movie, but in the sequels, but what it did was it's like the choices it's made were definitely the most damaging of any Star Wars movie.
That's a fair point. That's definitely a fair point. So yeah, I had Last Jedi at 7.
I had The Phantom Menace at 7. I thought this movie's growing on me. Darth Maul is sick. Pod racing stuff is great. And this is more of just like a thing that I like about the prequels and that actually the sequels didn't do. But they worked C-3PO and R2 into these movies. And like they made them like an integral part. And like that I loved. But they didn't do that in the sequels because 3PO, well, they kind of kept 3PO, but he doesn't make any money. But R2 makes money. So what they did was, let's get some new cute little toys or cute little droids. Like, I liked BB-8, but he like became less and less involved as the series went on.
Wait. Are you talking about The Phantom Menace?
I'm moving on. Sorry. I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but like a lot of the stuff with like the sequels was just a money grab. It just
for
sure. It, but like the stuff with the droids and like the Rise of Skywalker, they had like 4 different droids.
It's clear, dude.
It's such like toys.
It's such a money grab. The entire thing is a money grab.
The thing I liked about the Phantom Menace is that they kept it consistent. Like they had C-3PO and R2 as like integral parts of these.
That's fair. Yeah.
So I like that a lot. The music was great. John Williams is like definitely the GOAT at this stuff. So I thought it wasn't as bad. I mean, but like most of like what we've talked about earlier, like the Trade Federation and the midichlorians and like even the ending stuff with like the final battle on Naboo and like the space battle is kind of a snooze fest, but it's not as bad as I remember.
Yeah. All right. So going on to number 6 here, I think this is where we kind of start to get into good movie territory.
Yeah. Yes.
Good Star Wars. This is where I had Revenge of the Sith.
I had it here too.
Dude, Revenge of the Sith, I think, is undoubtedly the best movie of the prequels.
Yes.
But the fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin, I forget the planet, but on the lava planet.
It's Coruscant, right?
I have no idea, honestly. But that's probably one of like my 3 favorite Star Wars scenes or Star Wars battles ever.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that is just so sick.
Yeah.
That is so awesome.
I mean, the thing I liked about like the original trilogy and even like the sequel trilogy is that the fights were like a little more grounded in choreography because it's like they were like slashing at each other and felt like raw and real. This felt like 2 Jedi Masters like going at it, like showing all their skills, and it was a nice change of pace, and it just felt just like the cinematography with the lava in the back, and it was actually surprisingly emotional. Like
it has emotion. That's what I was gonna say. It has so much more emotion than any of the other 2 prequels.
Yeah.
Anakin actually has like depth to his character, I think, because he's conflicted, obviously turning to the dark side. Another thing too, the opening space battle and then the fight against Count Dooku.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I like that. I thought that was a cool opening. It's just a solid movie in general, I think. Yeah. Order 66 too.
Yeah.
Order 66.
That's so sad, but it's like it's well done too.
That is quite the betrayal.
Yeah, Palpatine's turn is great. They make that really work. The fight with like Yoda and Palpatine's also really good.
Yeah.
And this movie does a nice job of like tying like a bow on all the prequels, and it fills in like all the gaps pretty well. So I thought it was like it's definitely one of the better movies for sure. Also, Grievous is like pretty good, but the prequels have this problem where they like recycle villains so quickly. Like at first it's Darth Maul, then it's Dooku, then it's Grievous, then it's Palpatine. Like over 4 movies. Like the thing with the original trilogy, it was just Vader, and so like we actually got to know him.
Yeah,
and that adds so much more impact. So.
I liked Grievous.
I did too.
A lot of hate. I think he's just because he's kind of like a throwaway villain, like you're saying. He's just kind of there for the time being until like they do the Palpatine reveal. But I think he's good.
Yeah, and like Hayden Christensen's better in this movie. Like even like it asked for him to like be more emotional, and it's like probably a harder role than in the movie beforehand. But like he's pretty good. But the dialogue still sucks. But it's whatever.
All right, number 5. So you had Revenge of the Sith at 6 too.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on then. Number 5. This is where I had Rogue One.
Okay.
I really like this more than I thought I would. I think this is like not a cash grab necessarily. Well, I mean,
it's not a cash grab. It's like this.
It's not a cash. It's like it's just done so well. I think it's not something they needed to do, but they did it and they did it right instead of just doing. It could have been a cash grab.
Totally could have.
It could have been like Solo, but no, they took it. They said we're gonna do this right. This is something that people have wanted forever. And the one thing I just gotta say about this is when Vader shows up at the end.
That's like the best piece of fan service like in the history of fan service.
Honestly. That is so awesome.
The top 5 Star Wars moment for sure.
Oh, easily. I would argue it's top 3.
Yeah. This is the Vader that we should be scared of. Like the thing, like they didn't like Vader wasn't like wiping out fools in the original trilogy mostly because they didn't have the budget for that or the technology. But like this is like Vader's taking out guys left and right. Like he's super scary. And this is the Vader like we should be we should fear as viewers. So I didn't. I had Rogue One at 4. I had Return of the Jedi here. This is like, I thought Return of the Jedi is like a pretty good Star Wars movie. Like the Jabba's palace stuff is great. Boba Fett getting off is like still a grievance of mine, but I thought like the stuff with Jabba is great. Han like being saved was the right decision early on.
Yeah.
And the Rancor pit and or the Rancor, and then like the Sarlacc pit is just all like kind of legend at this point, and it's really good stuff. And then like the stuff on Endor is where it kind of gets a little messy for me. I think
with the Ewoks and everything.
Yeah, like the Ewoks, like they're cool and all, but it seems, and they're cute and stuff, but it kind of seems like it was a money grab because like they didn't really have like a lot of purpose. I mean, like
I get that.
And like they made like Ewok movies after, which kind of like furthers that. So I think it's good stuff, but I think like the Ewok or like Endor could have been handled a little bit better. But the final like half hour or so, it's just perfect.
Yeah, it's with the two simultaneous battles, the Luke Vader battle, and then when Vader saves Luke.
And also like the space battle is like pretty good too, with like Lando and also like the people on Endor, like Han and Leia on Endor. So like they got 3 like simultaneous battles, and obviously like Luke and Vader is like the most interesting, but the other 2 weren't like a snooze fest, you know. Whereas other movies can't say the same.
Yeah.
So I think 4 or 5 is a good spot for this. Did you have it at 4?
No, I actually had The Force Awakens at 4.
Okay.
So I reviewed this a couple days ago. I thought this was the perfect way to set up the sequels. I thought Rey and Finn, their duo was like, I thought it was great. I thought it was going to work great. They played perfectly off each other. I love how they used Han in this movie too. They had great fight scenes as well, especially in the snow when like he's trying to pick up the lightsaber and it goes to Rey instead of Kylo.
Yeah, that's a top 3 moment, honestly, for me.
That's pretty badass. It's such a like, yeah, it's similar to, is it a New Hope reskin? Kind of like I get that argument, but I don't think that makes it bad. You know, I still think it was such a great way to start off the sequels, and it kind of makes me sad thinking about like how they started off on such a bang, and then they just shit the bed.
Yep.
After that,
super frustrating.
It's such a great foundation, and
I'll talk about it when I get into my Force Awakens stuff. But I love this movie, and I think, again, it was like the perfect start to the sequel trilogy. At 4, I had Rogue One. So, I mean, it might be a little hot take to have this at top 4, but I think it perfectly fills in the gap between the prequels and sequels. Or sorry, the prequels and the original trilogy. Like all the characters like super likable. You know, like Jyn Erso is a good character. Cassian Andor is like pretty good as well. And then also like K2SO, like the droid, is like pretty funny. And all their deaths are like meaningful and pretty sad. Like I also like knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Like seeing them all die was kind of a bummer, but like they all achieved their purpose and they got the plan.
It's a good ending, yeah.
Yeah. And there's so many like great moments with like Vader. Also like Orson Krennic, like the villain, Ben Mendelsohn, is like pretty good. Dude, Grand Moff Tarkin was a little weird in this movie because he was completely CGI.
Yeah, it's always weird when they do that. It just like, it doesn't feel right.
It feels a little off. I think it's like called the Uncanny Valley, where like you can notice something like it's a little different, but it like looks super real.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I thought like his dialogue was great. Like all the dialogue in this movie, like that's the bare minimum for me to like a Star Wars movie. If the plot is coherent and the dialogue doesn't suck, it's like a good Star Wars movie for me.
Yeah.
So
that's a fair statement.
I like this movie a lot. There's also a lot of tension in like them getting the plans, even though like I knew they got the plans. Like we all knew.
Yeah, that's true. There actually is. Like you think they might not, but even though.
So that's just like a credit to the filmmaking. So I think it's for sure top 4.
Yeah. All right.
I want to hear this, Mike.
So you probably have not, you might have noticed that I haven't put any of the original 3 yet. I haven't mentioned any 3, and I think we're going to start off by doing that here. Number 3, I have A New Hope.
Wow. You really like Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, I do. I do like Return of the Jedi. But I think A New Hope, I want to say it's very similar to The Force Awakens, but The Force Awakens is very similar to A New Hope.
Yeah.
But it also did such a great job of starting off the series. It gave kind of this basic good versus evil story that you could look forward to in the coming trilogy, in the coming 2 movies of the trilogy. Mm-hmm. And this is when I'll get into Empire Strikes Back, but it was solid in setting up like the dynamic between all the characters. There's some great battle scenes. All the battle scenes are great in the original 3, I think.
Yeah.
There's not one where I'm like, all right, well, that's dumb, or that just doesn't seem real at all.
Like the set pieces, like you can name all the set pieces from the original trilogy. Like they're all memorable,
Yeah, super memorable. Blowing up the Death Star, I love that. I mean, again, it was perfect, solid start to this trilogy.
Yeah. Like as a standalone, it's like a 9 out of 10 movie. I have it at 3 too. It's just great character arcs. Obi-Wan's sacrifice is like meaningful, like introducing the Force and lightsabers. It's like we take it for granted at this point, but it's still like so cool. And like it's actually like such an inventive idea considering it was made in like 1974, whatever. But like it's introduces the best villain of all time.
Oh yeah, for
Luke
sure.
Skywalker is a great protagonist, and introduces great characters like Han, Chewie, the droids. Leia is also pretty cool. It's
Blowing
just
up Alderaan too.
So good. Like my only gripe is like maybe them blowing up the Death Star was a little like, I don't know, it doesn't like make the most sense, but like you sacrifice that as a viewer.
Yeah.
Overall enjoyment.
It's a nice victory at the end of it, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think it's meant to be like this big giant finale. It's just like a nice victory.
Yeah. As a standalone movie, like you could leave that movie like, I mean, it was created.
Good. You actually could.
Like them getting the medals,
Yeah.
So, it was really good stuff.
Okay, we both had that at 3.
Yeah.
All right, number 2. You're right. I do love Return of the Jedi. For me, I kind of the other trilogy I'd parallel this to would kind of be the Dark Knight trilogy, with an insane second movie and a solid third movie to wrap up the trilogy. Like, I think part of the reason I feel like I see a lot of not hate, but I see like people don't like this movie as much as I do.
Yeah.
I think it's like when you come off of something like The Empire Strikes Back, you just expect the next movie to be on that level. Yeah. And I feel like that automatically hurts just before we even watched it. Like it hurts your opinion of the next movie, or like The Return of the Jedi or The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
And or Endgame. Yeah, or Endgame even. This is just like it's a perfect wrap up to all the character arcs. I don't find a ton of problems with it. The Ewoks I think are fine. I think it's very unique how they use them in the end. But I like it. I don't remember too much from this movie. I watched it a while ago, but it's very solid. It's great in wrapping up every character. It could have screwed it up, honestly. But
like the final stuff with like Luke and Palpatine and Vader is great. Some of these lines, Vader's redemption.
Jabba too at the beginning, Jabba's palace.
Yeah. That's like an underrated sequence in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like also like you see Luke like with the new lightsaber and like how much he's like become a badass, like in his all black suit. And like there's like they make you question like, would Luke turn or would Vader turn? Like you don't even know. So there's like
that's true. You do question it in the end.
So it's a good movie. I think it's definitely top 5 for me, but I get like the number 2 placement.
It's so many great lessons in it too, and just Star Wars in general.
Yeah.
Like the Emperor is just tempting Luke to give into his anger, and he's like, "No, not gonna happen."
Like these movies are also like really funny. Like the original trilogy movies, like all of the stuff with Han and Chewie, like their like banter is so funny. I'm trying to think of like, oh, this is Empire, but like even in this movie, it's just really funny.
Yeah.
For 2, I have Empire at 2. So,
dude, I don't know about that.
I know. But I like, okay, I'll get into it when I talk about my number 1. But Empire is okay. It's like a toss up between Empire or my number 1 movie. Yoda is like one of the best characters in like movie history. The way he's introduced, like complete jokester, and then like turns like he reveals himself as this like old Jedi master, like badass. So many great lines. The way he talks, the Hoth sequence is amazing. The way that Luke like learns from Yoda. Also like the asteroid field and Han and Leia and 3PO and Chewie and Han, Leia, 3PO and Chewie like getting away from Boba Fett, going to Cloud City, meeting Lando. Lando's a great character. The twist there, and then the greatest reveal of movie history, like
the greatest twist, the greatest, like, dude, there is no other argument for what is the greatest twist in movie history.
Yeah.
Any other argument needs to be shot down immediately because there is none.
It's fantastic. It's like the ending is like just like with Luke and Leia like looking out of the window. You know, it's like pretty like sad, but like you also are like, I need to know what happens next. And Han, like his like him sacrificing himself or finally giving in, him saying, I love you, I know. Like there's so many like memorable moments. Like definitely if you don't have this top 2, like what are you doing?
I would even argue if you don't have this number 1.
I can defend it. Okay, I can defend it. We'll get into it later. Mike, what's your thoughts on this movie?
Dude, I mean, this is just like, this is my number 1. This is like, I don't even know if I'd consider this a 10 out of 10. Like I'd have to like really evaluate it, but I think it's either like
it's a 9.5 at a minimum.
It's like not, it's like 9.9 or 10 out of 10 for me. This is just like, this set the stage for just, I mean, filmmaking in general, honestly. Yeah. Like, dude, there are no problems with this movie. There's just not. There's like, dude, Yoda, Vader is the greatest. Vader is definitely the greatest movie villain of all time.
Yeah.
He really like, he kind of goes from like some average, not run of the mill, but just like an okay villain in A New Hope to like some badass.
Well, yeah, he like definitely takes a step up in this movie.
Yeah. Sure. And like the original A New Hope kind of set it up that it was going to be like some just good versus evil, yada, 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 yada. But this took it to another level. It made
got some like good philosophy lessons out of this movie.
Yeah. It wasn't just some good versus evil and lasers and shit and ships, whatever.
Yeah.
It took it to another level.
Yeah.
It took it beyond that. Some multi-layered deep story about like with these really emotional characters, great battle scenes.
Yeah.
I love the Hoth battle at the beginning.
Yeah. That's such a good sequence. And also like you want to banter done right between characters that like actually make you care about these characters. This is that movie. Like The Force Awakens does a great job of that. Like honestly, like other than the original trilogy, like The Force Awakens like does a great job of having like banter between characters and like allowing you to care for these characters. But like The Empire Strikes Back, like the stuff with Han and Leia at the beginning of that movie gets like overlooked.
Yeah, it's great.
It's all so well. Also,
Han,
like
Leia, Chewie, C3PO,
their love arc too.
Yeah,
like, it's just perfect. So,
I mean, this is just like it's so perfect. Yoda's, and what I was saying earlier, it's just the lessons you can take from these movies too.
Mm-hmm.
it's like they do everything for you. They're not scared to kill people or take these big dark turns, yet they're funny.
They work and they're in character.
Everything, like the Vader twist works perfectly. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Okay.
It seems like really out there. Like I remember the first time I ever watched that, I was like, what? That makes no sense. But dude, it's so great.
Yeah. Okay, so I have The Force Awakens at 1. I know there's gonna be I'm gonna get some hate for this, but I honestly think this is for sure top 4 in my opinion. But if you have it in another order, I get it. But this is like one of my favorite movies for all time, mostly because this is like the Star Wars movie like I grew up with, and like we all did. But like I just remember my hype for this movie being off the charts. The first trailer for this movie is like honestly enough to make a grown man cry. And I think the way this movie was executed was amazing. Poe's introduction with Finn is like so perfect. Their chemistry is like amazing. And you like these characters right away and they feel real. And, Finn and Rey's like adventures on Jakku with like the Falcon and then them meeting Han and Chewie, like that felt like real. And like seeing Han go through this character arc through the movie, or like seeing like Han be like a different role in this movie from like as like the older, like Obi-Wan type role is just so perfect and it works so well. The action is great. The soundtrack is great. Kyle's a great villain. This is one of his better movies. I like his soundtrack, like his theme, like all the themes in these movies are great. Like, but especially in the sequels too, like Rey's theme and Kylo's theme is just great. This the Starkiller base is a pretty intimidating.
Dude, yeah, when they shoot out that giant ass laser from the planet.
Yeah,
that shit is crazy. I remember watching that in theaters. That was fucking nuts.
Yeah, I know, and it's just, I mean, I get the criticism, like it's a New Hope knockoff, but I don't care. Like it works. I think for me, it works. I mean, it works better than the New Hope for me because that's like the stuff I grew up with. Like I'll grow up with like just knowing like how much potential these characters had, like Rey, Poe and Finn. Like there was so much, and you got to see like how badass like Poe was in the air as a fighter, and then the final battle with Rey being the protagonist, which like I didn't mind that. Like I thought that was like a good twist, like a good subversion of expectation, like having Rey be the Force sensitive one.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I love it.
Here's the thing though, like I honestly have no problem with that. You putting that number 1, like. Mm-hmm. Do I much prefer The Empire Strikes Back? Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Which like, but I mean, dude, it's all about preference. Like, there's no wrong take when it comes.
Oh no, there are some. No, Mike, there are some wrong.
There are.
But I get like any movie, maybe other than Return of the Jedi being number 1, but like I get any of the top 6 movies being number 1.
Yeah,
the same top 6. Like those are like definitively the best.
Those are the best. There's a clear bottom half and top half with these Star Wars movies.
So
another thing I wanted to touch on real quick about The Empire Strikes Back is I just love, I think you might have mentioned this. It's pretty dark. Like thinking about it, like there's not a victory really for the good guys in it, which I respect.
Like, it works.
I really respect.
Yeah, and it's not like, but like there's lighthearted moments. And there's like little victories, like Luke getting more powerful with the Force, right? And Han getting Leia through all this, and whatever. Like there's little victories, but it's not like depressing enough to where it's like unwatchable.
It gives you so many different, it dangles so many different emotions, and it does it so perfectly. Yeah. It's like what you're saying, like the scenes with Yoda. Like those are so uplifting, and then later it's like the ending when Han gets frozen, and and there's like the shot of Luke and Leia looking out the window. Like that's kind of depressing as fuck. But like there's parts of the movie where you're like you're hopeful and you're thinking like, all right, yeah, they're gonna do this, they're gonna win.
Yeah. So it I mean, it's for sure top 2. I just love The Force Awakens because like also Han's death is perfect.
Yeah.
So well.
That is good. I respect them for doing that, honestly.
And he wanted to like get killed off for like years. So like this is just like a perfect way for him to go out.
And dude, that theater experience was something else though, I will say. The Force Awakens.
That was one of my most emotional experiences in a theater for sure.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It's just like a roller coaster, and like you're still like happy and hopeful by the end of it, which also like fuels my disappointment for The Last Jedi. But I digress. Like that was a good list. I'm glad we got through that. I'm glad we agreed for the most part on the top 6. So basically, in conclusion, if our top 6 is not your top 6, what is wrong with you? Those are definitely the best 6 movies.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, we'll be back sometime next week. We got some more sports episodes brewing. NBA is coming back. MLB is coming back. Vaccine hopefully by fall. Crossing our fingers. But who knows at this point? We'll keep doing our best to keep making content and keep talking about movies and sports. So this has been a good episode. Follow us on social media on Instagram at What Is The Buzz. Mike's putting out some really good content there. We just dropped our top 25 movies list.
Yeah.
Go take a look. We'll narrow it down to our top 10 through some fan voting system later this week.
We'll see the reception we get on it.
Yeah. So and then Twitter at What's Buzzin', Spotify, it's YouTube at What's Buzzin'. So until next time, keep buzzing.